Hello everyone and welcome to Star Wars On High. Thank you for stopping by. We are back with something I promised long ago and finally was able to start. I know a lot of you were wanting more reviews of Legends content, such as the books, comics, games, etc., and we're going to be doing that today, starting with arguably one of the best Legends series ever written, the Darth Bane trilogy by Drew Karpyshyn, specifically the first book, Path of Destruction. Darth Bane has been a fan favorite character through both Legends and canon. Most only know him as the Sith Lord who started the Rule of Two, but his backstory is actually very dense. If you haven't read the trilogy, I highly recommend it, especially before watching the rest of this video, as it will contain spoilers. But without further ado, let's get into Path of Destruction. 1,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, and before he was known as Darth Bane, Dessel spent his life on the planet Apatros as a Cortosis miner alongside his abusive father, Hurst. Dessel went his entire life being the bane of his father's existence, and after a confrontation in the mines, Dessel had had enough of his father and unknowingly used the Force to give his father a fatal heart attack. But this isn't the first time that Dessel had unknowingly used the Force. He had used it many times to win several fights and to win in gambling games such as Sabacc. One Sabacc game in particular went a little too far when playing against some Republic soldiers, and they tried to fight him for cheating. Dessel opted out of the fight but was met with resistance again in the streets by the same crew, which resulted in the death of one of the Republic soldiers. Now at large for murder, Apatros was no longer safe for Dessel, and he left the planet by signing up with the Sith army. Dessel quickly made a name for himself as he obtained victory after victory within his unit, the Gloomwalkers. But when Commanding Officer Ulabor gave Dessel orders for a suicide mission during the Battle of Fasira, he mutinied against the orders and led his unit to a victory over the Republic forces. Unfortunately, since Dessel went against his orders, he was arrested and brought before Sith Lord Copex, who saw Dessel's unknown potential with his Force abilities and enrolled him into the Sith Academy on Korriban, which was instructed by a group of Sith known as the Brotherhood of Darkness. This group had decided to reform the legacy of the Sith by uniting them in order to defeat the Republic. Dessel then took the name of Bane, as he was seen as the bane of his father's existence. Bane then went on to start learning the ways of the dark side. He quickly began to move up the ranks, up until he started to doubt himself and his abilities. To prove to himself that he wasn't losing his touch, he challenged the school's top student Sirac to a duel. But Bane was defeated horribly, and as a result, Sith Lord Cordis deemed that Bane would receive no further training from anyone. Bane was treated like an outcast until a fallen Jedi named Jithany arrived at the school to learn the dark side. She could sense Bane's potential and felt that he could be her chance to remove Sirac from the school, putting her at the top of the class. She decided to secretly tutor Bane in the ways of the Force, while at the same time, Bane confronted Kas'im, another Sith Lord, and requested that he train him in lightsaber combat in secret. Through his secret courses, Bane regained his strength and connection to the Force, spending most of his time in the archives, reading over ancient Sith teachings. As he learned about past Sith, he realized that the Brotherhood of Darkness was not following the ancient ways of the Sith, and as a result, they had grown weaker. Bane wanted to grow his power in any way that he could, but just as everything seemed to be going at a decent pace, Jithany lured Bane into the archives, where he fell into a trap and was forced to fight against Sirac and his two followers, only to cut them down in battle. This began to worry Jithany, as Bane may become more powerful than she could handle. After the attack in the archives, Bane immediately marched to Lord Khan's chambers, accusing him of setting up this attack, arguing loud enough to gain the attention from the other masters and the students as well. It was there that Bane openly claimed that no one in the Brotherhood was worthy of the title of Sith, and announced himself as Darth Bane, Dark Lord of the Sith. Shortly after, the time had come for all of the remaining Sith students to be shipped off to Ruusan to fight against Jedi Lord Hoth and his army of light. But Bane refused to go, and instead stole Lord Cordis' ship and flew to Leon, world of the now extinct Rakata. Bane landed and made his way to an ancient deserted temple in which he found exactly what he was hoping for: a holocron belonging to Darth Revan. Eager to learn everything he could, he spent days listening to the hidden message over and over until the power of the holocron faded and he had memorized every single word within it. From this, Bane realized the problem with the Sith. They could never reach their true potential when there were so many of them. It was then that Bane created the Rule of Two, a master to embody power, and an apprentice to crave it. Bane then left Lohan, but not before running into Kas'im, who was sent to bring Bane in. Bane cut him down in a lightsaber duel and headed to Ruusan. Bane contacted Lord Khan and told him about Kas'im, and as a peace offering, sent Khan the instructions for an ancient Sith technique known as the Thought Bomb, a technique so dangerous that it could completely wipe out the Brotherhood of Darkness. Out of fear that Bane would actually attempt this, Lord Khan sent Jithani to kill Bane. She planned to kill him with poison that she had spread on her lips, but after kissing him, Bane instantly realized what her plan was, and explained that through new Sith teachings he was already prepared for this, but he failed to realize that Jithani had mixed two different poisons together. Starting to feel these effects, Bane sought out a doctor by the name of Caleb, taking his daughter hostage until he agreed to give him an antidote, and in return Bane chose to spare their lives, noting that killing out of petty pleasure was ruining the Sith Order. Bane's final plan went into action when Lord Khan decided that the Thought Bomb may be the only way to stop the Jedi. All of the Sith gathered in a cave where they began the ritual and lured the Jedi into the cave, and once they were close enough, Khan detonated the Thought Bomb, killing everyone within its range, leaving Bane as the last of the Sith. And as Bane made his way through the ruins of Ruusan, he discovered a young girl named Rain. Bane sensed how strong the Force was within her, and took her as his apprentice, thus starting the Rule of Two. Now I know that's a lot for a summary, and even then I still didn't hit all of the points that happen in this book, but that's how heavy this book really is, and if you've read the book, I'm sure you'd agree. There's so much information in this book, and it's all worth learning about. Seeing how the Sith went astray from its original teachings and seeing how the Rule of Two was actually formed is so intriguing. I remember when I first read the book, that was my biggest interest. There were so many Sith in the galaxy, how was Bane going to take on all of them and leave himself as the last? Truly a remarkable character. Pretty much every moment in this book is great, but my favorite is probably when Jithani realizes how strong Bane has become as he uses the Force to create a lightning storm within the archives. There's just so much in this book that would be great to talk about in other videos, from the Brotherhood of Darkness to Jithani being one of the first characters to wield a light whip. I love the concept of the Army of Light and seeing just how heavily militarized the Republic used to be when it was constantly at war with the Sith Empire. Both sides are nothing like we see them on screen. During this time, the Jedi were hardened warriors that focused a lot more on combat than they did with peace and purpose. The Sith, on the other hand, were a dying breed, always fighting each other for superiority and never agreeing on the same methods. Which all the more reason shows why the Rule of Two was such an important breakthrough for the Sith moving forward. I think the best part about this trilogy as a whole is that it really is the best way to get into the mind of the Sith. You really see how everything works. I think Bane is the perfect representation of that because this book shows how he figures it all out. You can see the gears moving in his head as he connects the dots and becomes stronger throughout the story, and how at the end of it all he truly doesn't care about any of the others. His one priority is himself, because he knows that he can bring the Sith back to where it should be. No one understands the purpose like he does. It's very much relatable to Thanos, only he knew what it would take to bring about peace with the Infinity Stones, and I'm not just saying that because they were two massive bald guys that were hell-bent on destruction. And yes, you know, these stories are no longer canon, however, Darth Bane and the Rule of Two have been brought back into canon, so it is very possible that at some point we could see Darth Bane's story return to full glory in the new canon. How and when, I do not know, but it is very possible. Overall, Path of Destruction is definitely a must-read when it comes to Legends. If you've read Path of Destruction, let us know your thoughts down in the comments. I want to know your thoughts on the characters and what great memories you have from reading it. I will be putting out reviews for the other two books as well, The Rule of Two and Dynasty of Evil, as soon as I can. So definitely subscribe if you're interested in more Legends content. As always though, thank you to everyone who stuck around to this point in the video, and we hope to see you again very soon.